Welcome to Hermetic Temple Radio Tarot Talk.
Bum, 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 bum. Welcome to Showbiz, baby. Welcome to Showbiz, mom. Welcome to Showbiz, baby. Gee, you're gonna have, girl, you're gonna have, you'll have lots of fun.
Well, good morning and welcome once again to Hermetic Temple Radio. This morning we're going to get into our Tarot Talk episodes, and we're going to talk a little bit about our new tarot classes. We're pretty excited about this. Heidi and I were talking last night about whether or not to do a beginner's tarot class. And we decided that we'd really like to get into this, really get excited. We've been doing tarot readings for the past several years, been doing them on our own private network, and then we also supplement our income by working on Keen Psychic Network. And the one thing that really gets draining doing this, tarot readings for other people on these various networks, is that we deal with a lot of people that just feel disempowered and just feel like they're at their last wit's end. And they're looking for guidance, and they're looking for comfort. Of course, that's why they tend to call us. But when we try to offer advice to help them out, help them to regain control of their life, oddly enough, a lot of people don't seem to want to do that. They'll come back to us with the attitude, I'm just a weak human being. I just can't cope. I can't put up with this. So I need some sort of a magic bullet, a magic cure, to really help me sort my life out. And basically what they're wanting, and not all, but a growing number, it seems, what they're wanting is for spirit or the tarot reader to fix their problems for them. And that's not what we are here for. We are here to offer advice, to offer guidance, to tell you the general energy of your situation, whether you have good energy, bad energy, and things that you can do, concrete things you can do to help to improve your life by raising positive energy. And so what we're going to do is we're still going to continue doing tarot readings. And we'll be doing the tarot readings from a spiritual perspective, like we have been in the past. To us, tarot is not just about predicting the future. It's about helping people to grow spiritually. So we approach it as a hermetic spiritual art. So for seekers that want that, we will continue to provide that service. But in addition, to go along with our attitude, the theme of our temple is helping people to help themselves, helping people to become better people. And in honor, the continuation of that theme, we will begin doing tarot classes to teach beginners how to read tarot for themselves. And even after you get good at it, after you've been doing it for a while, you'll be able to do the tarot readings for your friends, for your family, perhaps even start your own tarot ministry. But the vision that we have for these classes is that they will start out, be about $60 per hour. And we envision that these classes would last probably about 5 hours. Probably we would do that in 5 one-hour sessions. And these classes are going to be geared towards the need of the individual. So if a student is progressing quickly and we can cover the material in 4 classes instead of 5 classes, then we'll do that. If the student wants to go longer, would feel more comfortable having additional sessions in addition to the 5 regular sessions that we have planned, we can certainly accommodate the student on that level too. But the way that we have this figured out, or the way we have it envisioned at this point in time, is that roughly for the same cost of having 10 regular half-hour tarot readings done for you by either myself or Reverend Heidi, you can learn to do the tarot yourself and be able to read your own cards. So for those that are interested, this is a service that we will be offering. I'm hoping that we'll get it off the ground within a week's time. We are still figuring things out and kind of figuring out the logistics and all that stuff. But then once we get the details worked out, we will be promoting this on Spreaker, on our regular websites, and on Facebook and Twitter. So that's something coming up. And this will be instruction for the individual. We're not talking about group sessions. And you can schedule your private session according to your schedule, of course, according to our schedule too. But it's not going to be a set time like, everybody has to tune in or be by their phones at 8 o'clock, say, on Wednesday night. We can do it on a Wednesday night. We can do it on a Thursday night. We can do it on a Monday night. We can do it on a Sunday morning, probably. It just kind of depends on your schedule and our schedules. And so when we structure these classes, they will be more or less like tarot tutoring. It won't be a group class. It'll be individual, one-on-one attention, and structured according to your needs and structured according to your time limitations. And what else do I want to cover? The classes will be done by phone or by Skype. And when we start taking enrollment for these classes, we're going to ask for both your phone number that you might want to use for this class, and also your Skype number if you have a Skype, a Skype ID account. And we want both because in the event that we should run into any problems with connectivity using Skype, then we'll use the phone number as a fallback. But for those of you that want to be able to have like face-to-face time using the internet, then we will be using the Skype as much as we possibly can. But in the event that there should be a problem with connectivity on Skype, we'll fall back onto the traditional phone. And this will be geared to the individual. Students will have access to our private videos. We're in the process now of making private YouTube videos. And they will be kind of covering pretty much the same material as is found, as we will be discussing in the tarot tutoring classes. But of course, with the video, you don't have the opportunity to say, wait, back up a little bit, I have a question, can you please expand on this a little bit further? You don't have the same one-on-one type quality as you will with the tutoring by phone and Skype. But the video is being offered as a supplement. And when you sign up for the class, we will send you the video links to these added additional videos. So you'll have those to kind of fall back on to do some private study on your own and to kind of review things on your own. And lastly, pertaining to the tarot tutoring class, students will need to get their own tarot deck. Now, we will be teaching using the Rider-Waite deck. And so we kind of recommend that students get the Rider-Waite deck to learn with. Now, if you already have a deck, if somebody's given you a deck or you've gone out and you've bought yourself a different kind of deck already, you don't necessarily have to run out and buy a Rider-Waite deck too, unless you want to. That would help to simplify things. But what we have is a PDF document that we can also email to each individual students that will have diagrams, pictures of the cards. And so you can use that as a reference, because from one deck to another, there are similarities, and there are also some remarkable differences, and some decks can be extremely different. So it's good that we have some common deck to use as a reference. So students that want to take this course, we do recommend buying the Rider-Waite deck. But if you already have another deck and you want to use that deck, then you don't necessarily have to. It's recommended to get the Rider-Waite, but it's not a must. We can work with that. So that's the information on our tarot classes, and as we get the details worked out, we will be presenting more information in the future, hopefully in the very near future. Now, I'm going to go on for the rest of this broadcast and answer some questions that have come up. I've got 2 questions picked out, and that should probably be enough to get us through a 1-hour broadcast. But first, I'm going to play a little song. I'm going to get up, get a cup of coffee, and play a song by the Old Recruits called Everybody's Fine. If you want to take this time to get your cup of coffee, go ahead. We can do coffee together. But here's the Old Recruits with Everybody's Free, not Everybody's Fine. They're free too. So we'll see you in about 3 minutes.
Let's kick it off. Clap your hands, turn it up, get ready for this. Clap your hands,
Well, that ended rather abruptly. I was just sitting here drinking my coffee, listening to the music, and realized it's time to go back on the air. So here we are. And now we've introduced the tarot tutoring class that we are going to be presenting. I'd like to kind of tell you about something new that I discovered. And this is something I never thought I'd be using. And I'm not really too enthralled with it, but it's a nice toy to play with. I was looking through the internet last night, looking for PDF copies of the Rider-Waite deck that we could use that wouldn't be in violation of any copyright laws or anything like that. And in my internet search last night, I happened to come across a Google Play app called the Rider-Waite Tarot Deck. I believe that's the full name of it. Let me click on my phone here. Rider-Waite Tarot is the name given here on the opening page. And what it is a cute little phone app that you can download onto your Android phone or smartphone. And just get a variety of computer-generated tarot spreads. And it's got some relatively decent explanations as to the spreads that are used. The only problem I have with it is that this is just a random computer-generated reading. It's not, it's not like the same as having your cards read by a professional reader. But for fun, it's kind of neat. And it's a neat tool to use if you want to kind of review the tarot deck and you don't have a 78 card deck on you. If you have your smartphone or your Android phone, you can call up the images of the Rider-Waite Tarot deck, and it gives you a pretty fair description, really, of what the cards mean and how the cards might be applied to a general question, revolving around love, relationships, spirituality, work, finances, health, things of that nature. And so if you're interested in a cute little computer-generated tarot reading, a handy little app that you can play with, I would recommend the Rider-Waite Tarot app on Google Play. And I've had it now for about 12 hours. So I haven't had a chance to fully wear it out yet, or shall we say wear it in. But, for a beginning student or just somebody that likes to play around with the tarot and doesn't like to carry a tarot deck around with them, this app can be handy. So, a little discovery I made last night. And feel free to go on Google Play Store, and check it out. Now, to continue on with our questions, first question revolves around an old name that we used to use. We don't really use it much anymore, but I do plan to go back and kind of reactivate some old websites that we kind of abandoned because of family health matters and things. We just had to take things slow. And now we're getting things ramped back up again. But one old name that we used to use in, giving tarot readings online was shamanistic tarot. Shamanistic after the word shaman. And, of course, tarot as in tarot reading. And so a lot of people have asked us, what does that mean? Well, you think of what is a shaman? One definition of shaman that I go by is a person who listens very deeply to the world of spirit. Someone who is tuned in to the world of spirit and seeks advice from either their higher power, their higher self, or the god or goddess of their understanding. And a shaman is somebody that can connect with the spiritual world just as easily as, say, anybody else can pick up the phone and talk to the plumber or the janitor or your boyfriend or girlfriend. And a shaman is just somebody who is just so comfortable connecting with the world of spirit that they serve as a go-between between themselves and their community whom they serve. If a problem arises in a shamanistic culture about crops not growing, the hunting being bad, trouble within the community or the tribe, people will take their problems to the shaman, and then the shaman will lapse into a altered state of consciousness, a very deep state of meditative relaxation and meditation, and just commune with spirit and take the problem to the spirit guides that guide the shaman and also guides that community. And then once the shaman gets the answer or receives some form of instruction from the world of spirit, the shaman then returns to full awakening consciousness, or sometimes even in the altered state of consciousness. The shaman will present the teachings from the world of spirit to the people of their community. And a shaman will serve sometimes as an oracle, bringing the message of spirit to their people. Sometimes, oracle, prophet. Sometimes, most times, shaman will act as a healer, and by interceding for the people and bringing wisdom to the people from the spiritual realm, the shaman can help to heal the community. Sometimes we have rifts that threaten to tear apart a community, or may already have torn apart a community. And sometimes a community needs psychological healing, spiritual healing. And that is another role that the shaman plays, is trying to effect healing on a societal level and also on a personal level. If somebody is sick physically and a shaman is good in his craft or her craft, going to the world of spirit and seeking healing energy, then sometimes a shaman can fill the role of, say, a healer, a spiritual doctor, a faith healer. Some might say a witch doctor, but in primitive tribal communities where they don't have modern day medicine, sometimes the shaman's healing is pretty darned remarkable. And I've even heard of some cases where shaman have been able to heal diseases that modern doctors and scientists just are at a loss to even try to heal. And so that's basically what a shaman is. A shaman is like a go-between, a person who interacts with the world of spirit, seeks out the wisdom from the spiritual realm, and then they work to make that wisdom, make that knowledge accessible to the average person within their community. Now, it's my belief that anybody with the right temperament, with the right mindset, can serve as a shaman. And shamans in many different cultures will use different tools, different methods of divination. And so when we apply the concept of shamanistic activity to the tarot, we begin to understand that we can use a deck of tarot cards as a tool to help us connect with the world of spirit. See, a lot of people, when they try to do tarot readings, beginners will go to the books, and that's good, but they'll go to like the tarot cookbooks, if you will, the recipe books, the books that give them, a definition of what each card means, and teaches them the symbology of the cards, and teaches them how one card relates to another. And after reading through those definitions and studying those books for a few months, until a person gets a pretty feels pretty comfortable that they know the meanings of each card, then they can sit down and start doing tarot readings and doing the practice. And a lot of times, if they get stuck, they'll stop the tarot reading and go back to the book and look up the meaning in the book. And it'll be a pretty book-centered art for the average beginning tarot reader, for the most part. And what we recommend from the aspect of a shamanistic approach to tarot reading is to, yes, continue to use your book. And the books are great. They have a collected source of wisdom that spans, I don't know, many different decades, sometimes centuries, and the collected experience of numerous people. So it's a lot of experience and interpretation that is contained within the various tarot books. So yeah, definitely use the tarot books as one tool, but don't use it as your only tool. What I recommend is to become comfortable using your own insight and your own intuition. In the shamanistic approach to tarot, what we do is, after we've done the preliminary study and we get comfortable working with a certain deck of tarot cards, we then spend time in personal meditation to meditate upon the cards. And you can do this in conjunction with your book study, but meditate upon the cards, and then just meditate for the sake of connecting more fully with your higher power, or your higher self, or your spirit guide, however you are comfortable thinking about the spiritual realm. Just go ahead and connect. And then once you feel like you have a good connection established, then ask the world of spirit to help you interpret the tarot cards and the tarot spread. And begin to think of the tarot cards not as a funny-looking deck of 78 cards that have these pretty pictures on them, sometimes pretty pictures, sometimes some disturbing pictures. But begin to think of the tarot cards not necessarily as a piece of esoteric art, but begin to regard the tarot cards as a telephone, your hotline to the world of spirit. And with daily practice of doing like practice tarot readings for yourself, and doing your meditation before a reading and during the reading, and just practicing putting yourself into a sort of an altered state of mind, just by closing your eyes, breathing deeply, and consciously seeking out the support of your higher power and the counsel of your higher power. Then when you get good at making that connection, then you can connect with what the cards are trying to tell you, because then you'll be able to understand the cards as a tool through which the world of spirit according to your understanding, is trying to communicate with you through the cards. The cards become like a telephone line, and you can use the cards to call up the world of spirit according to your understanding and just ask questions. And hopefully, if you're sensitive enough, get some real answers and get some good help. That's the approach that we use here at Temple of the Infinite Universe. And in my tarot reading, I do tarot readings in English, and that's the approach I use. I learned the approach from my wife, Reverend Heidi, and she does tarot readings in Spanish. And so we do kind of like a tag team. Somebody calls wanting a Spanish reading, Heidi takes it. Someone calls wanting an English reading, I'll take it. And that's the way we're going to be setting up the classes too, is that for Spanish speakers, Heidi will be taking on the Spanish-speaking people, and then I will be conducting classes for the English-speaking people. I apologize, those are the only two languages we offer at this point. But who knows, maybe someday I'll get smart and learn another tongue. So, shamanistic tarot, that's kind of a brief definition of what it is. It's just using the tarot cards and assuming that we can use the tarot cards to call up the world of spirit and to get real answers to real questions. And it's just a very spiritually based attitude. And again, this is what we're going to be teaching in our classes. A lot of people, when we talk about shamans or oracles or prophets, many times people assume you have to be a great saint to be doing this. This is a gift, a power that's just not given to anybody else except the elite, the special, the few, the brave, the proud, or, well, with saints it wouldn't be the proud, it would be the humble. But, you get the idea. A lot of people think that this power is just the province of just a select few group of people. I don't feel that way at all. I was born and raised just a normal guy with more than my share of weaknesses, made more than my share of really stupid goof-ups in my life. And I'm just an average guy. And I learned how to do this just through practice. It took me quite a few years of practice to finally get it to where I feel comfortable now using it for the benefit of other people. But anybody can learn how to do this. It just takes a little bit of time, a lot of patience, a little bit of discipline, and just sticking to it. It takes a lot of stick-to-itness. It's not a word, but I heard somebody else use it a few years ago, and I thought, yeah, that really applies. If you have the temperament, and if you have the intellectual capability, but you don't have the stick-to-itness, you don't have the ability to stick with it and persevere and learn and keep on learning, then you won't get it. But if you have the stick-to-itness, the ability to just stick with it and go with it and dedicate yourself to just maybe an hour a day perfecting your art or trying to perfect your art, then within a few months or a few years, you might be able to move mountains. When it comes to being an oracle, when it comes to exercising spiritual power, this is something that everybody can do. Not everybody does it because not everybody's aware that this is even possible. But once you know that that it is possible, and you realize that you're just like everybody else, that you can learn this craft too, then you can begin to set aside the time, find your teacher, and get in touch with your inner teacher and learn how to connect with the world of spirit. So it's not just something that just a few people are doing. It's not that only a few people have the gift. This, yes, it is a gift, but it's a gift that you have to develop. It's a gift that you have to work at. And it's a gift that anybody can receive if you're ready for it. And if you're willing to put in the time and have the stick-to-itness to learn and perfect the art. I'm going to take a break, play another song by the Old Recruits. Not familiar with this song. This one's called Ad Break. And then we'll be back with my final question and wrap this program up.
Did you feel that?
Yeah.
We just brought you a special bulletin.
Well, that was a rather short break, but here I am back again, and here I have question number 2. This is kind of a common question. Should I read my own cards, or, can I read tarot for myself? If I have a question, can I use the tarot deck to answer my own question? Or do I have to seek out the services of another tarot reader? And I think for beginners, this is really an important question, because it's really going to affect how you learn tarot. And from my own experience, in my own opinion, I see nothing wrong, for the most part, with doing tarot readings for yourself, especially if you are a beginner. That's one way to get a lot of practice, is just to sit down, ask some questions. They don't necessarily have to be good questions, but just some basic questions like, what kind of a day am I going to have today? And then shuffle up the cards and lay the cards out and interpret the cards to the best of your ability, and then write down your interpretation, and then shove it away in your pocket or in a drawer someplace, or leave it on your nightstand, and then just go ahead and go about your day. And then at the end of the day, sit down and look at what you wrote on that little piece of paper, and see how well your interpretation of that tarot reading was. See how accurate, your prediction was for yourself when asking, is it going to be a good day? You can also do something similar and just give yourself what we call an energy reading, and just ask Spirit, what's my energy for this day? Is it an energy that's going to favor love and romance? Is it an energy that's going to favor, financial deals and overcoming financial difficulties? Or is it going to be a good day for creativity? Yeah, and you can get a pretty good idea of what your energy is going to be from one day to the next. And then again, write down your insights, write down the tarot reading, and write down what your insights were that you drew from that tarot reading, and then just set it aside and forget about it for the rest of the day. And then after you've gone through your day, sit down, pick that piece of paper back up, and kind of gauge for yourself how good of a job you did and how well you interpreted the cards. And sometimes, you can see that you did very well in interpreting your cards, as far as getting an idea for your energy or what kind of a day it was going to be. And then other times you can see where you goofed up and maybe misinterpreted a card or two. And then you can write that down and make corrections. And I recommend kind of keeping a journal and keeping these notes so you can learn from your past successes as well as from your past failures. But of course, in order to be doing that, you have to be comfortable reading cards for yourself, reading your own cards. Now, a lot of tarot purists have said over the years that you should not read your own cards, that you should always seek advice from another tarot reader. And there's a strength to that. There's a truth to that. See, what I have found in my own experience is that when I sit down to ask just kind of like a basic passing question, like, what's my energy going to be like for this day? Then I can do the tarot reading. I can shuffle the cards, lay the cards out, give my interpretation, and pretty much everything is spot on. But what I have found is that for something of a more dramatic nature, like if something bad is happening to somebody that I love and I care about, and I try to do a reading for that situation without seeking outside help, what I have found is sometimes I am so emotionally invested in the question at hand that I find it difficult to give an accurate reading for myself. And one concrete example of this was a few years ago when we had one of our little dogs, a little Shih Tzu that I had grown deeply attached to, and she was very deeply attached to me, and it was like my wife always used to joke that, this little dog was my second wife because that's the way she acted. She was very possessive of me, very jealous. If I was holding her, nobody else could touch me. And it was all pretty cute, and I got attached to her, and she obviously got pretty attached to me. But after having had a life of about 15 years, she became very sick. And I knew that she was at that age and where anything could happen. And so I did a tarot reading, and I asked the question, is my dog going to die? And the first answer I got, I interpreted as a yes. And I just was not prepared to get that news. I began to break down and cry like a little baby. And I thought to myself, this can't be right. This can't be true. And I doubted my own reading. And so I shuffled up the cards again. And I can laugh about it now, but I shuffled up the cards again. I said, Spirit, give me a better reading. I can't accept this. And Spirit obliged. You know, a lot of times once we get comfortable dealing with our spirit guides and our higher power, we find that the spirit guides can really accommodate us. Sometimes for the better and sometimes for the worse. But sometimes when we ask something of Spirit, you know, they will go ahead and the spirits will accommodate us. And hence the old saying, be careful what you ask for. But I did a second tarot reading, and the second tarot reading indicated recovery. But then I looked at that, and I realized what was going on. I had asked for the advice of Spirit, but then when I got the answer I did not want, I turned a deaf ear to that advice, and I realized, okay, I've got to grow up a little bit. And in our house now, both my wife and I are tarot readers. So now in that situation of having a beloved family pet dying, we were both emotionally attached to our dog, and she wasn't really ready to be told that she was going to die either. So she was a little helpful in doing a third tarot reading, but again, she didn't really want to hear the answer, to know the answer. So we really didn't get as good of a response as we should have. But what I'm doing is I'm trying to use this as an example that if there is a situation that you are just so closely connected to, something that is really touching you on a personal level so deeply that you just cannot be objective, then in those circumstances, I think it is a great opportunity, a very advisable, to seek the counsel and the advice of somebody who can be objective, and somebody that is not that emotionally involved in the situation at hand, and somebody that can give you some good, objective words of comfort and advice. You see, when our dog was sick and dying, and she did die, she was dead within a couple days of having done that reading. But then what was I saying? Boy, I need to start working on my memory a little bit more. But when we get in a situation where we're trying to read for ourselves and we just can't be objective, we need to understand that seeking help and seeking a deck of tarot cards are not the same thing. Sometimes the tarot cards and the connection that we have with Spirit can give us the advice that we need, the strength that we need, the comfort that we need, the counsel that we need. But other times, we need somebody, a flesh and blood human being that we can talk to, that has a shoulder we can cry on, that can keep their head screwed on straight and just tell us what we need to hear. Or to just be there and listen while we get a lot of crap off of our chests and just let ourselves clean ourselves out, just open up. And so we can do tarot readings for ourselves, and I think in most cases, for just general questions and for questions of spiritual growth, doing a tarot reading for yourself will be good. I mean, you can do a pretty good job doing your own readings. But if you feel that you are in a situation where you are feeling overwhelmed, where you do need the counsel and advice of somebody else, somebody that you trust, and somebody that, if you're seeking out like a tarot reader, then somebody that obviously reads tarot. But yeah, getting a third or second opinion from somebody that you trust, a reader that you trust, is always, in most cases, a good thing. So, to answer the question, can you do your own readings? I would have to say yes. But, be careful with it, because sometimes you do need the help of somebody else. You do need a guide. We teach and preach and just harp on the need for the individual to get in touch with their own inner guide and their own inner teacher, that whole shamanistic tarot type of understanding of things. But before we get there, we need other teachers, we need other guides, we need instruction. And a good guide, a good human guide, a good human teacher is going to take the student and teach them up to a certain point. And then when the student is ready to solo and to begin learning directly from the world of spirit, then a good teacher knows that he or she has finally worked themselves out of a job and is willing to step aside while the student takes the next few steps into the world of spirit on their own. And even shaman or oracles or prophets, or if we dare use the word, great saints and great people who have reached that state of being able to commune with spirit and to do it daily and to do it naturally, even these people need that human touch, need to have somebody that they can talk to, occasionally a shoulder to cry on when things aren't going very well, or somebody to celebrate with when things are going well. We all need human companionship. So, communing with the world of spirit to me is half the equation, but also establishing good relationships and maintaining good relationships with your fellow human beings in this world is the other side of that equation. And to be balanced people, we have to keep both of those worlds in harmony and in balance. So sometimes seeking advice from another tarot reader can be a good thing, especially if you're a beginner and you don't feel comfortable or confident in your own readings, and even after you've grown confident in your own readings. Keep the door open to seek advice from other more experienced or other tarot readers that you trust who can keep an objective viewpoint. Because sometimes when we are in the thick of things, we don't want to hear what Spirit has to say because we're not ready to accept certain things, certain truths. It's a growing experience that we all go through. So I hope that's helped to answer that question. Definitely, if you're a beginner, feel free to do your own readings, but also have the phone number of another good tarot reader close by your side. This is going to conclude today's broadcast of Tarot Talk. And if you want to contact me personally, you can use the email address hermetictemple@gmail.com. And stay posted. We are going to be forming our classes, and we will be publicizing those details as soon as we get those details worked out. So until later, we will catch you around the infinite universe, talking tarot, or sometimes talking exotheology or general spiritual topics. And I look forward to your questions and comments. I'm going to leave you today with another song by the Old Recruits, Let Me Be. And we will talk to you later. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.